Buenas tardes, buenos días y buenas noches donde nos escuchen. Es un placer estar con ustedes. El día de hoy tenemos uno de nuestros grandes amigos y una compañía muy cercana a todo el mercado latinoamericano de Scale Trends. Pero antes de dar la introducción a nuestro invitado, Martín, ¿cómo estás? Del otro lado del mundo, Cine, que haya sábado, no, sí, sábado, mediodía, ¿cómo
Sí,
estás?
sábado a la mañana, sí, 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 como siempre desde el futuro.
Sí,
Pero
sí,
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 no,
es cuestión que luego los niños me dicen, ¿cómo es posible que haya sábado? Pero bueno, poco a poco van entendiendo esto
y
del
sí,
globo y que
y
haya
sí,
sábado y aquí es viernes.
sí,
Y
sí, sí.
de este lado del continente, específicamente en California, tenemos a Mike. Mike Hopkin, para quienes no lo conocen, es vicepresidente de desarrollo de producto de Scale Trend. El otro está en California. Nos dijo Capistrano, ¿verdad? Nos dijo
San
Martín.
Juan Capistrano, yes.
San Juan Capistrano.
Sí.
Mike vive en San Juan Capistrano y queremos agradecer que esté con nosotros. Mike entiende un poquito de español, pero vamos a hacer algunas traducciones en inglés. Y Mike, thank you very much. We're just talking about that you are living in San Juan Capistrano, that you understand a little of Spanish, but we're going to
Muy poquito.
translate. Es suficiente.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Martín, ¿quieres agregar algo antes de empezar?
No, le voy a agradecer a Mike y obviamente de ahí empezamos. Mike, as usual, SkyTrains is very generous with time with us. So Jane before and now, yeah, you, like I say, for us, like we have this little podcast and show for people speaking Spanish is very good to have a big company like say SkyTrains is one of the leaders in the industry now. So for us, it's really a pleasure to have you. So thank you very much for this time and this opportunity.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure. I enjoy the opportunity and thank you for having me.
Okay.
Un poquito traduciendo, Martín agradece el tiempo de Scale Trends, que siempre han sido muy generosos con nosotros este tiempo. Y quiero retomar un poco esto. Posiblemente algunas personas en México no lo sepan, que lo dudo, pero posiblemente en Latinoamérica. Scale Trend es la única compañía que ha venido a eventos de trenes en México. Mike ha estado en 3 eventos. El primero fue en Monterrey, el año pasado, creo. Y luego estuvo en Apizaco y también lo vi en Querétaro. Me gustaría empezar preguntándole a Mike cómo fue la decisión. Yo creo que a lo mejor su esposa tuvo algo que influir, pero quiero preguntarle como compañía, ¿cómo fue que es la primera compañía que da el beneficio de la duda de salir de Estados Unidos y compartir con alguien más? ¿Cómo fue este proceso y qué han encontrado? ¿Me ayudas tú a traducir, Martín, y así para
Sí,
hacer un
sí,
poquito más dinámico?
sí. Sí. Mike, Eduardo was mentioning about your visits to Mexico.
Yep.
Apparently, I'm not sure, so I say apparently you visit Mexico 3 times, different towns. And Eduardo would like to know or share with the people what was the decision behind SkyTrains? Because you are one of the first companies going, outside the US and visiting Mexico and doing promotion of your product. So, what was the decision? What SkyTrains is looking to do in, like say, in this case, in Mexico?
Well, actually, this all started probably a year before the Monterey show. We had a gentleman that had contacted us through our support email box with some questions about the products.
Kevin.
And
It was Kevin?
no, actually, it was Rodrigo.
Rodrigo. Okay.
Rodrigo Rodriguez contacted us, had some questions about the product, and I had saw the email and I thought, this is a guy that we need to talk to get information for doing more Mexico-based products. I obviously I have a passion for it. As you guys know, my wife is from Chihuahua, from the state of Chihuahua, born in Jimenez, Chihuahua. And so I've got a passion for Mexican railroading and things Mexico. And it's been my desire to want to see us do more product, directed towards Mexico. So, Rodrigo and I spent probably, 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, trading emails. And he was the one who made the invitation to get us to come to Mexico and participate in the show. And so him and Kevin, Paco, Pablo are the guys that got us to come to Monterey to do the show. Also, Victor in Tijuana has also been part of that group as well. And so they've kind of been what I call our handlers. They're the guys that kind of watch out for Sylvia, my wife, and I as we attended these shows. And that's kind of how it all started. Everybody can thank Rodrigo for making that invitation, because we didn't, up until that time, we really had no contacts in Mexico. And from there, we've made a lot of new friends and a lot of great contacts. There's a long list now of people that we work with that have been very helpful, and it's going to be beneficial both for us and I think for the Mexican model railroaders, the people that model Mexican railroads. There's going to be more product coming. So that's kind of how it started.
Okay. Let me translate that.
Mm-hmm.
Le preguntamos un poco como empresa cómo se involucraron en ser la primera empresa en venir a México a varios eventos, y prácticamente nos decía que todo empezó un año antes de la primera vez que vinieron aquí a Monterrey. Un compañero de Monterrey, Rodrigo, me mandó un correo, hizo algunas preguntas. Al final, Mike comentó sus esposa es de Chihuahua. Él ha estado muy involucrado en los ferrocarriles de México, en la historia, y hubo varias personas que mencionó, la mayoría son de Monterrey, Kevin, Rodrigo, que empezaron a trabajar y se hizo la invitación. Pero más allá, lo que yo quiero resaltar es, yo sé que muchos mexicanos, muchos de diferentes grupos han enviado correos a diferentes empresas, y Skeleton es la primera que responde. Muchos, a mí incluso me contestaron de, no salgo de Estados Unidos, soy muy local, muy chiquito. Lo entendimos, no pasa nada, pero el que se diera la oportunidad de venir es algo muy bueno para México y obviamente yo creo toda Latinoamérica. Y Mike comentaba también la parte de que eso va a abrir más la oportunidad de más trenes y modelar más. Incluso por ahí, igual también me confirma Mike, creo que no sé, fue esta persona, se llama Kevin, ayudó con las muestras en las famosas cebras del color rojo, porque inicialmente creo que el rojo no era exactamente el rojo que había salido. Entonces, creo que esto es un ejemplo de cómo estar cerca de tus consumidores te ayuda a producir mejores trenes con mejores calidades, mejores fotos y colores apegados, que es lo que todo el mundo siempre luego se queja de, que los colores no son exactamente lo mismo. Entonces, ¿le traducimos esto, Martín? Nada más un poco decirle de los colores, que si realmente de ahí hubo un poco de participación de México.
O de los colores de
la cebra. Sí, creo que el rojo. Creo que por eso se retrasó. Pues yo tenía el pre-order año y medio, pero...
¿Qué compañía de México? Ferro...
es Ferromex. Las cebras, las ferras, el color rojo inicialmente no era el rojo que
salía. Como que lo corrigieron.
Gracias a la ayuda de los amigos de Monterrey.
Sí. Mike, Eduardo is commenting like you will contacted, or Skeltrain been contacting from a group from Monterrey, and they say about to correct a red color on a zebra locomotive from Ferromex. And like I say, the feedback, or really you took that feedback very quickly and made that correction. So like Eduardo is saying, like that was a very good impact, for obviously Mexican modelers, because how quickly you fix the problem, basically. So
yeah, a little bit more of that story. We myself and one of our other product developers, Paul Ellis, worked on that project, and we spent hours, if not days, looking at photographs, trying to figure out not just the red, but both of the gray colors as well on the zebras. And we picked some colors that we thought were appropriate, and actually had the production done, and the colors didn't turn out the way we were expecting. Then we made the trip to Monterey, and we talked with numerous people, both the guys from Monterey and Aldo Giovanelli from Guadalajara was also helped with paint colors. So both the guys from Monterey and Aldo were able to supply us with actual color chips and paint samples that we were able to use we ended up having to remake all of the bodies for the zebras for the first run and correct those colors. But now we absolutely have the right colors. So,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, and I guess it's very hard for anything really to translate or to move a color from the prototypical locomotive in metal to a plastic model. That process will be, I guess it's super hard. I think it's no easy as.
Color is probably, from the product development side, color is the #1 issue we have to deal with. Everybody sees color differently. You can look at 100 different photographs. Every photograph, the color is a little bit different. And so unless you've seen a real one yourself, which we never had, or you actually have the real paint chips, color is extremely difficult. And so to be able to have the opportunity to meet some people down there that were able to help us, this is just one of the benefits for us, and also for the Mexican modelers or people that are modeling Mexican railroads. Helps us to be able to continue to hold the same high level of accuracy in our products for the Mexican railroads as well.
Sí, y de hecho lo comenta Mike, el color es uno de los principales temas en la parte de producción, y no solamente estábamos hablando de Kevin, sino Aldo Giovanelli en Guadalajara, y todo un grupo de personas que cuando Mike estuvo aquí en Monterrey, los apoyaron con samples, con fotografías, y al principio comentaba que tú puedes tomar varias fotos y cada quien ve un color rojo diferente.
Sí.
Y sí, y te digo porque yo tenía ese pre-order como hace 2 años, alguien me preguntó cuánto tiempo lo ordené. Normalmente un pre-order es de 1 año, pero con esta corrección, y eso es algo que creo que a todos nos encantó, que estuvieran dispuestos a escuchar sugerencias y hacer la corrección. Creo que eso fue lo máximo. Obviamente, pues, muchos pudieron adquirir esta máquina en pre-order y ya están esperando la segunda. Y ahorita vamos al tema del famoso hypotypical, pero ahorita tocamos ese tema, porque que ahí también viene otra vez. Pero bueno, agradecemos esto.
Pero déjame agregar algo.
Sí.
También es como siempre, hacemos trenes modelos, o sea, hasta cuál es el punto de exactitud, el color amarillo. Me pasó a mí con Union Pacific y, o sea, hay modelos de Skytrain que el amarillo es un poquito diferente como yo lo veo, pero después cuando viajé y vi una locomotora de Union Pacific en Los Ángeles, dije, no, es así. O sea, la percepción que uno tiene, especialmente cuando uno modela a la distancia, es lo que ves en YouTube, es lo que ves en una foto, pero hasta que no estás al lado de la máquina, no lo sabes. ¿Y cuándo es el tiempo de esa máquina? Cuando fue pintada en la fábrica, en el ferrocarril real, sale, y vos la ves después de un par de años de funcionamiento, cambió el color. O sea, hay un límite, creo, que tendríamos que poner a todo esto y disfrutar un poco más del hobby y no complicarnos la vida, ¿entendés?
Sí, no ser tan ribbon counter.
Yeah, Mike, I was adding I think it should be as modelers. I do HO scale and N scale. I bought a few models from UP from Scale Trains, especially. And I had only one chance in my life to travel to Los Angeles and see in West Scotland Yard UP locomotives. And for me, it was like opening my eyes because I model through YouTube or pictures. But when you are next to the locomotive, the real one, you appreciate, like I said, yes, how hard it is to match that, and depends on the time that locomotive is in circulation or working on real life. Oh, the color changed too. So I think we should be a little less relax a little. And
I agree. I wish people would relax, but a lot of people are very serious about this, and we understand that. And so we do our best to match those colors as accurately as we can. For me, I share the same. For me, going to Mexico and watching the trains and photographing, I share the same feeling that you do when you came to Los Angeles to see the trains. The same. I have a real passion for Mexican railroads and watching trains in Mexico, and so to be able to be there and actually see them in operation and not just the YouTube videos or the photographs, to be able to see them yourself is exciting.
Yeah, and especially when you go into past models, like I say, the turbine, for example, the big blow. So how really, there is one turbine there on display in one of the museums, but that's not the real color. How you travel in time and back. It's very hard.
Well, what we end up doing is that we're looking for paint chips through samples, much like the guys did for the zebras. Once we have the actual color chip, then the discussion is finished. There's no more,
Yeah.
you know, if a customer is not happy with the color, we match the real one. We can't, this is the best we can do. But the problem is everybody's perception is different, and that is always a challenge. But once we have landed on a color and we have an actual color chip from either the paint manufacturer or the railroad or some you know, reputable source, then we continue to look, and colors on our models have evolved as we've gotten better information. You know, as we've moved through the process, the colors will change until we get to the color that we feel is the most accurate color. But sometimes that can be an evolution.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, no.
Sí, prácticamente lo que estaban comentando Mike y Martín, la diferencia de modelar con fotos, con videos, a estar presente ahí y ver el color, o sea, el amarillo de UP no es tan amarillo, está desgastado, cuándo se hizo. Mike obviamente retoma un poco mucho esto de cuando tienes los samples, lo tienes ahí en la mano, y cómo pasarlo del metal al plástico, que es lo complicado que dice Martín.
Sí, exacto.
Y al final, un poco me gustó el punto que decías, hay que disfrutar el hobby. Sé que muchos de los que compramos son muy estrictos y queremos que sea exactamente el color o que tenga el punto verde donde tiene que ir el punto verde, pero bueno, todo eso lo podemos arreglar. Los que estamos metidos en estos, si le falta una pintura, pues yo se lo pinto, si lo quiero más mugroso, lo ensucio. Entonces, al final, creo que eso es lo bueno. Y ahorita, uno de los temas que quería platicar durante el día de hoy es la parte de las vaporeras que le dice Martín, acá le decimos de vapor, y ya por ahí vi un par de comentarios. Alguien preguntó de la Big Boy, y también por ahí alguien está preguntando también si algún día van a hacer máquinas de vapor nacionales de México.
Bueno, este es un punto que a mí me toca cercano porque ellos adquirieron la licencia de MTH, así que para mí es como que...
Entonces creo que es buen momento para preguntarle a Mike, y sobre todo como encargado de la producción, vamos a tocar el tema de vapor, porque obviamente en la página, en los ETA de los nuevos productos enormes, todavía no hay nada de vapor. Entonces, Mike, we're talking about steam. Perhaps you hear something.
Yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah, okay. Someone asked about the Big Boy. They ask about if you're going to make Mexican steam, but can you tell us a little more? Because I know that the tooling is from MTH, and one of my many things that I do here in Mexico, I fix engines and from different brands. And once I fixed an MTH steam engine, and it was one of the best quality that I ever had in my hands, even compared to Marklin or Trix, that they are the big standard in Europe.
Sure.
For me, and this is very controversial. For me, it's one of the best quality. And there's another brand in the United States, but MTH is one of the top. So can you tell us about where are we at the steam? What are the next steps?
So obviously the steam engine projects have taken much longer than what we anticipated. You know, we are working on the Norfolk and Western J class, the 611, and that'll be the first one. And we're hoping to have something to show people here. I'd like to think you know, within this year. You know, the problem was, you know, we purchasing all the tooling that we did, it was a major undertaking, and it's just unfortunately taken us longer than we anticipated to get everything up and running. You know, obviously, as you know, steam engines are very complicated compared to the diesels. There's a lot of parts and pieces that we didn't get when we purchased the tooling that we had to recreate ourselves.
And also the package. I remember that I read something that you were asking about the original
models. Yeah.
Models.
Yeah. We actually ended up having to purchase some original MTH models to send to the factory so they understood what the model looked like. You know, we purchased only the tooling. There were no blueprints, no drawings, no information to go with them, and so our factory had to learn basically from the very beginning how to build these models. And, you know, most of those, you know, a steam engine's probably going to have 30 to 40 different molds that have to be tested. The parts have to be made. They have to assemble them. And again, there were parts that we didn't get that we had to recreate. excuse me. So unfortunately it's taken much longer than what we had originally anticipated. We're hopeful that once we get the first one done, we've got a couple others that we're already working on, but we're not ready to quite talk about them just yet. But the big push right now is to get the Norfolk and Western J. The other part that we ended up having to do, obviously, we're not using MTH's sound or their electronics, so all of that had to be recreated by ESU. They've been a big help in getting us getting that part of it resolved, but it's taken time, obviously, to get all of that done as well. So there's a lot of things that were involved that we were hoping were going to move faster that unfortunately didn't. But it is certainly something that is high on our list to get these models out. So we've obviously we've released some of the freight cars. We've done some of the F-scale product. We've done some of the other simpler projects. But the steam engines, even if we were doing a steam engine for ourselves for the brand new, it's a pretty major project. So as far as Mexican steam, right now the focus is the MTH. Once we get those done, we'll have a better idea of what direction Scale Trains is going to go with steam engines.
Yeah. Just let me add, Eduardo, before the translation. So, Mike, personally, I collect MTH. I'm an MTH collector from HO from day one. And when I saw the email, Scale Train was looking for a model, I was very tempted, but I say, better hold.
I understand, sure.
Better hold, but I'm happy to collaborate in something you need at some point, but not for sales, just you need to return it. But like I say, MTH is, I think they did something amazing with the steam locomotives. Obviously, I think the failure was their decoder. So, obviously, as you mentioned, look, it's great you're working with Loxam on this because it will open that market. But the shake locomotive is one of we want back. But then the other one, people look a lot, is in English is the triplex, you see, or triplex.
Yeah, the triplex. Yeah,
that's one of the more people, they want to have that locomotive back. And like I say, it's really, like I say, I understand how difficult, but I think you have a great opportunity. As you know, for some reason you got the right.
Certainly, and again, it's obviously it's in English we call it the learning curve. It takes a lot to learn how to do the first one. Once you understand the process, and hopefully each one, past that will go smoother, and hopefully will go quicker as well. At least that's our intention and our hope at the moment.
Yeah. And how we're talking about this between us is in model, like I say, going back to the turbine, the super turbine, you started with an amazing model, and people before that, they only believe we can have that model if we buy the Overlands models only. So say, we know you're going to put on this thing.
Well, that's certainly our plan. Thank you.
Un poco resumiendo, es muy complicado la parte de vapor. Mike comenta que no ha sido tan rápido como ellos quisieran. Cuando compran el MTH, solo compran el tooling, pero no había planos, blueprints, incluso empaque. Y se mencionó que salieron a comprar productos de la gente, oigan, se compran máquinas de vapor de MTH, y lo que hicieron con esas máquinas que compraron, las enviaron a la fábrica, un poco, no me acuerdo el nombre de reingeniería, es como que tienes la máquina y la desbaratas, o sea, empiezas
de atrás. Se llama ingeniería en reverso.
Ingeniería en reverso, exactamente.
Reverse engineering.
Sí, para ver cómo está hecho y qué hay que hacer. Y dice que, hay muchas partes involucradas. Lo único que nos puede confirmar que la primera es la Norfolk, no, ¿cuál fue?
La clase J, que es la 611, que es una de las locomotoras más lindas de vapor que existe. Sí. Y lo otro muy importante, Eduardo, es el decoder. Que usen eso, Loxam. Eso es muy buena noticia porque es un super decoder y te abre un montón de posibilidades. Así que como ellos usan Loxam para sus diesel.
Sí. De hecho, yo aquí en México uso las dos principales marcas. En especial Loxam, a mí me encantan cuando ya vienen instaladas de fábrica. Para mí se me hace, no sé, una mejor calidad. Me ha tocado instalar en algunas máquinas, pero siempre yo luego ahí tengo algunos problemitas. Pero sí, ya instaladas de fábricas son muy buenas. Y también comentó que primero de lo de vapor tiene que arreglar lo de MTH y ya de ahí
Sí.
van a seguir hacia donde van. Sobre todo respondiendo a la pregunta de que alguien decía si iban a ser de vapor de México. Por ahí creo que de MTH había una, no me acuerdo si era una Niagara, no, había una máquina que podrías, no era Niagara, era otra, una Consolidation 280 de MTH, que
Sí.
esa podría, pues bueno, la puedes hacer algunas
Ya,
modificaciones
pues,
y la haces nacionales de México o algo. Pero bueno, por lo que nos comenta Mike, va para largo.
sí,
Y tú
sí.
dices, pues bueno, hay que esperar, pero
Espera,
creo que
paciencia.
es paciencia, sí. Oye, y hablando de producción y luego de lo que decíamos hace rato, los detalles, creo que es un buen momento para introducir el tema de Hypotypical, que nos platique,
Sí.
porque eso de seguro, por ahí vi uno que otro enojón en Estados Unidos que no lo
Sí,
quiso,
como
no lo
siempre.
aceptó y que no es posible, pero creo que Trend tomó el punto de disfrutar el hobby y lanza esta línea.
Yo,
Entonces,
yo
preguntarle a
creo,
Mike
Eduardo,
que
sí.
nos diga cuál es su idea de esto, ¿no?
Yo creo, Eduardo, esto es como crear un multiverso ahora ¿viste cómo hacen todas las compañías? O sea, es lo mismo, o sea, está bueno. Yo creo que abre los abanicos y ayuda a las compañías a vender más productos. Así que el que le
Okay.
gusta, que lo compre, el que no le gusta, bueno, que lo deje. Es tan simple como eso.
Exacto.
Mike, just Eduardo was talking about this new, what we call branch of hypothetical locomotives. So yeah, you want to tell us about this and
Sure.
explain.
One of the things that when the company first started, one of the things that was very important for us was that each brand was very clear in what the expectations were for the customer. That that when you bought a museum quality, or you bought a rivet counter, or you bought a Kid Classic or operator, you knew what to expect. Each brand had a very clear box of here are the features, here's what to expect. Because that was something we felt was very important, because obviously a lot of our business is online. Customers don't get to actually see the product until you have it, when you order it and it comes to your house. But you know that if you've purchased a rivet counter product before, you know that if I buy another rivet counter product, you know the expectation. You have a level of expectation for the model. So one of the challenges that we've had is that in the rivet counter brand, we want to be very accurate. So there are a lot of equipment, particularly locomotives, that are equipment that has been owned by several railroads. As an example, Wisconsin Central, or Wisconsin Southern, excuse me, that has we did their 40th anniversary SD40-2 in the operator line, because we can't do an accurate version of that model, because every railroad that's owned that locomotive throughout its life has modified it in some fashion. They've added a part, they've taken off the part, they've changed the part. Well, from a manufacturing standpoint, from our side, it's extremely difficult to be able to capture all of those details and deliver a rivet counter branded product. And so what we decided to, and what we came up with was the idea of hypotypical, which is basically the idea, in the way I look at it, and what I try to express to people, is that it's rivet counter detail, but not necessarily rivet counter accuracy.
Mike, one second, please.
Yes.
This is very important. Let me translate, because that point, in Mexico, we have big discussions about it's not exactly perfect, it's not the point, it's not the bell, it's not blah, 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 blah. And before you continue, please, let me translate.
Yes.
Creo que es un punto muy importante. He visto en varios foros de discusión donde quieren que, no, es que esa máquina en la vida real no tiene el tanque de gas tan grande, lo tiene más chico, lo tiene recortado, lo tiene pintado. Y lo que Mike estaba diciendo, que muchos modelos de máquinas han pasado por varios esquemas o varias compañías, y cada compañía le hace una modificación, le quita, le pone, lo pinta, y al final tienes un Frankenstein de máquina, y dice que desde el punto de vista de producción es una pesadilla. ¿Cómo Trend quiere solucionar esto? Entonces dice, con la línea hypotypical o hipotypical, no sé en español cómo se pronuncia, lo que están entregando es Hipotética, sí, un producto rivet counter en cuanto a acabados, pero no es rivet counter en cuanto a exactitud
no es
del
exacto.
modelo. Y creo que es una muy buena explicación y ya te da la oportunidad de que cada quien haga lo que quiera la máquina, le puede quitar, arreglar y poner de acuerdo a su gusto. Pero creo que es un buen punto de discusión ahí en los foros, especialmente en México, que todo el mundo quiere que sea exactamente como ellos quieren. Y creo que la explicación es muy buena. Entonces, le dije a Mike que, perdóname que le interrumpiera, pero creo que era importante mencionar esto en español. Sorry, Mike. So please, can you continue?
Yeah. So as an example, currently we have rivet counter SD40-2 and we have operator SD40-2. And for everyone that's purchased those models or seen them, obviously the operator does not have many of the detail parts. There's no wiper blades. There's no traction motor cables. There's no MU hoses. There's no all of those features are not there. But if we move the paint scheme onto a rivet counter model, but we are going to have to compromise on some of the detail because we don't have the parts, or quite frankly, it's not cost effective from a business standpoint. And we have to remember that this is still a business also for us. As a business, it's not going to always be cost effective for us to make every one of those parts. But what you do now get is you're going to get the wiper blades. You're going to get the brass horn. You're going to get the traction motor cables. You're going to get the MU hoses, the coupler bars. You're going to get all of those common detail parts. But some of the really unique features for a specific model are probably not going to be there. But it gives you a model at a very high level of detail. But again, the accuracy is going to be a little less than rivet counter. And so by taking it and putting it in this brand, again, the idea is when you buy hypotypical, you expect rivet counter detail, but a little bit less than rivet counter accuracy. And at least that's the way I try to express it to people.
Yeah, it is a great idea. It's a great idea because gives options and makes obviously for the business easy. Yeah, it's easy for the business.
It gives us more options. Yes, and it also for the customer, it also helps to keep the each brand very clear. If it's in regular rivet counter, then you're going to have the rivet counter detail and the accuracy. But if it's hypotypical, you're going to have, again, the rivet counter detail, but not quite the rivet counter accuracy.
Yeah.
So again, doing it that way keeps things more convenient for the customer. Once you understand what the brand represents, it'll be easier for you to make that buying decision. Is this a model I want to purchase?
Yeah. Just, Eduardo, déjame preguntar una cosita que es relacionado y va a enlazar. Mike, just in relation with this, I don't know if SkyTrain did any market study or check, because I always in this discussion, I believe the people that really count those details maybe is 5-10% of the market. Mm. The rest, we don't care. I open the locomotive, I put it, I look, oh, everything is right. Yeah, that looks nice, and we run it. So
certainly,
is something like that, like I say, you make a study and say, look, I think 90% of the people will be happy with this, or you consider something when you took this decision?
Yeah, well, again, a lot of it, you're right. I think that there is probably the people that are super concerned is a very small percentage. But we want to, for us as a company, we want to be able to make product for every level of customer, wherever you're at. We want to be able to deliver products for you, and everybody's different. And this becomes another one of the challenges for the company is trying to find where do we put these models to put them to the right customer. And so, part of that is part of it. Because we have had a lot of people that have asked for a particular locomotive in a rivet counter brand, but we know that we can't meet the rivet counter detail or accuracy, we can't meet the rivet counter accuracy. So we push away from doing that because we don't want to confuse the customer. Well, I bought rivet counter, but it's not rivet counter accuracy. We don't want to confuse them, and that was part of the reason for doing this. Is it creates a brand and it keeps things very clean and for the customer to understand each one of those levels.
Y creo que SkyTrain ha hecho muy bien eso. O sea, tiene el museo, Quality Museum, rivet counter, operator, y ahora tenemos la hipotética. O sea, tenemos, digamos que 4 niveles.
4 niveles, sí.
que abarca lo que dice Mike. O sea, cada una, cuando tú lo compras, tú sabes lo que estás comprando. Si quieres algo un poquito austero, que tú lo puedas ver, pues lo operator. Si quieres detalle excelente, Rivet Counter. Si quieres lo máximo de lo máximo, te vas por la de calidad de museo, ¿no? Y ahora, con la nueva hipotética, pues bueno, tienes más opciones. Y creo que eso habla de la parte de mercadotecnia de Scaletrend, que entiende el
Sí, sí,
mercado.
sí, sí.
Y eso es muy bueno. Y ahorita me salió un comentario y quería hacer la relación porque va mucho el tema de entender el mercado. Aquí nos están
Claro,
preguntando de algo que ya tiene Scaletrend.
que son los
Posiblemente
kits.
no se anuncie tanto, pero ya lo tiene. Ahorita en un viaje que puedo hacer, yo ya lo vi en una tienda y estamos hablando, para hacer una similitud, de los viejos kits que manejaba Atren, los famosos Blue Box.
Sí, exacto, exacto.
Ya los tiene. Y creo que eso es también ser parte de de segmentar bien tu mercado. Hasta donde yo sé tiene cabús y algunos de 40, carros de 40, pero hay que preguntarle a Mike si van a ahondar esto. Para nuestro amigo que nos pregunta, los puedes comprar directamente en la página de Scaletrend o algún distribuidor autorizado, pero ya existen estos kits. ¿Me ayudas a traducir para no acaparar todo, Martín?
Sí, sí, pero yo creo que la pregunta se refiere a locomotoras. Creo que locomotoras no tienen kits. A eso se refiere. O sea, que existen los vagones, pero que no hay locomotoras todavía. Yo creo que esa es la pregunta.
Yo no he visto kits de armar de locomotoras.
No, no, por eso, esa es la pregunta que está preguntando
Ahí
Luis
también podría
Fernando.
ser, pero bueno,
Ah,
ya ahí hacemos las dos,
te
con
pregunto.
locomotoras y con carros, ¿sí?
Sí, sí, sí. Mike, one of the people who is watching, Luis Fernando, he's asking about, there are kits from scale trains for cars and no problems to put it together. Is any chance of locomotives coming that way, so people can, paint different schemes?
It's unlikely. Quite frankly, the kits don't sell. We don't sell a lot of kits. What we found is that most customers are more interested in buying something fully assembled. They want to put it on the railroad and they want to operate it. We still are doing kits, and we'll probably continue to do kits. Though we've had some discussion about that, we're not. At the moment, we're going to continue to do so. As far as the locomotive goes, one of the challenges that we've had, especially, we have done some undecorated versions of operator locomotives. There's a possibility maybe of doing some more of those. But as far as like the rivet counter locomotives, it's a very big challenge for our factory to produce undecorated. It's a sore subject for us. It is. There are so many parts. I mean, there's hundreds of parts that go into a given locomotive, and for the factory, when they're building them, when they have to assemble them, they know where everything goes. They all the parts are accounted for. But when you do an undecorated, where you're putting parts in bags, with that many parts, there's a tendency for parts to get lost or never get put in, and it just becomes a challenge. So unfortunately, I don't see that in the future for us. I would never say never. But it's I think that's probably unfortunately that's going to be unlikely. Again, the rolling stock, because it's much simpler, we can do that. Locomotive is going to be a bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, and I think for example, when you have that video of visiting the factory in China, that opened the eyes to many people to understand how difficult is this. Many people believe, like I say, there is a question there, from another the person who is viewing, is about a kit for protection of the windows, but I think that is more going to other, factories. They do in details or brass details. So, SkyTrains is doing the base locomotive in a super high level, and then you can buy those items from different companies, like they do brass details, and you can pay it in an ad, because again, they can go stretch with one model with all the possibilities, because we will have one model every 5 years. It's very
we are working towards having more parts available in the future. So like the window protectors, I know those were very popular from Mexico, and everybody's very excited. Those kinds of parts will probably become available at some point hopefully in the near future. But again, the challenge becomes, it's a business, and we have a limited amount of people, we have a limited amount of time, and we have to invest our time and our efforts where the return is going to be for the money that we spend. And unfortunately, selling parts doesn't make a lot of money, unfortunately.
Eso es importante.
And the other thing, Mike, the other thing very important, you are competing with also with the new 3D, making parts, like I say, printing parts. So, like I say, if they start doing some window and then somebody takes that and copy and then start selling for 1 cent, let's say, like I say, this is very difficult. So they need to protect the business. Yes, give us a lot of options, but also take care, like I say, they don't go over invest in something like that.
Well, and again, certainly our goal is obviously, again, it's a business. We're here to make money. But that also then helps us to continue the business, to continue to bring the product to the market that everybody seems to be very happy with. And so again, the challenge for us, is always what I tell people, we have to walk a tightrope of making good business decisions compared to what our passion is for the trains and the hobby. And those are not always on the same side. And you've got to, sometimes you have to make decisions that are good for the business that are not always popular, unfortunately. And that's one of the challenges that we always have in this business.
Y eso es muy importante. La última parte que comentaba Mike, al final, pues Skeletron es una empresa y tiene que vender, tiene que hacer negocios, sacar utilidades. La parte del kit de las máquinas lo ve muy poco probable. Y me quedé pensando que la mayoría de las personas que modifican una máquina ya tienen un cierto grado de especialidad. Correcto. Y muchas veces lo que hacen es, pues, compran pedacitos aquí y ellos hacen sus propios modelos. Entonces, creo que ese mercado siempre va a estar ahí. Por ahí alguien preguntaba también de los kits de protecciones. Mike comentó que a lo mejor lo sacan, pero no es prioridad, porque al final de cuentas, como tú lo comentaste, Martín, mucha gente ya está compitiendo con las impresiones 3D. Entonces, si ellos sacan una refacción, pues alguien la va a copiar y la va a vender muy barato. Y lo que dice Mike, al final, no lo que quieres como aficionado al tren es lo mismo a lo que quieres como dueño o parte de un empresario, y hay que tomar decisiones del dinero, que eso es lo importante, ¿no? Que al final de cuentas eso va a permitir que Skeletron siga. Y ahorita, ya tenía planeado preguntarle esto, pero esta parte del dinero y todo esto me lleva a una pregunta que le quiero hacer a Mike. Hace unos meses cerraron 2 titanes de compañías grandes, una en Inglaterra y una en Estados Unidos. Yo sigo insistiendo que esto deja cojo un poco a la gente que compramos, porque tenemos menos opciones de compra. Y ahorita, en un viaje, fui a una tienda de los que le dicen brick and mortar, o sea, una tienda de verdad, y un poco desilusionado y un poco preocupado, en el sentido de que muy buena atención, buen servicio, pero pocas cosas. Vi varias de Skeletron, afortunadamente, pero sí sentí que el camino, y esto en teoría era una tienda relativamente grande, el camino de las tiendas físicas, pues cada vez lo veo más peligroso, en peligro de extinción, y creo que la parte de Skeletron, al seguir vendiendo ellos directo, pues bueno, es una herramienta clave para que ellos subsistan como empresa, ¿no? Porque creo que las pequeñas distribuciones cada vez van a ser menos, y pues es más caro, más especializado, y no hay tantas ventas como en línea. Entonces, quería preguntarle a Mike, ¿cómo están viendo esto? Yo sé que no tienen tantos distribuidores, obviamente por la curva de crecimiento de la empresa, pero ¿cómo ve ese futuro de las ventas en línea o tiendas? ¿Qué piensan? ¿Qué hablan ellos internamente?
Yeah, okay. Mike, Eduardo is talking about, he has no concern, but he's noticing like every month or every year we are losing like brick and mortar stores, and it's less and less, and obviously online sales is growing. So Eduardo wants to know inside Skeletron how they see the market. Like I say, we are going to an era like everything will be online, like you're doing a great service. And also, by the way, Eduardo, I want to add, like you have that pledge about $1,000 if you can fill the pre-order, like that gives the customers a good, amazing guarantee. It's too good. So yeah, Skeletron is seeing like the future will be more online, or you think this is going to get a balance at some point?
Well, to be honest, that really is probably a better question for Shane or somebody in the sales department.
Yeah.
Okay. But I would, we continue to support our dealer network and the dealers that are working with us. But that does seem to be a trend, and it seems to be a trend in a lot of industries, a lot of not just model trains. I mean, here in the U.S., you see a lot of shopping malls that have closed or been vacated. And there's one that's close to my house that I grew up with that now is the entire building is leveled and it's a big dirt lot, and this is where people used to go shopping. And so much of our world now is online. That just kind of seems to be the direction things are going. But again, like I said, that's probably a better question to talk to Shane or somebody from our sales side. But my personal feeling is that just seems like that's just the natural direction that things appear to be going. It doesn't. I'd like to see the dealers be able to continue to do it. And again, we're doing all we can to support our dealers, that are a part of our network.
Eduardo, después que...
Sí, adelante.
Nada, si después que traducís eso, me gustaría continuar porque tengo algo relacionado con el brick and mortar que yo compro y el customer service. Así que si querés traducir esa parte y yo
sigo. Bueno. Sí, obviamente Mike no se especializa en la parte de ventas, pero nos está diciendo que él ve una tendencia que, pues bueno, ahora sí que así, los que ven Star Wars, this is the way, así es como va pasando. Sí. Todo se va online. Comentó de unas tiendas ahí cerca donde vive que pues ya pues van cambiando, los van a construir otra cosa. Y esto no dijo Mike, pero lo digo yo. Aquí en México de repente siento que mucha gente tiene miedo a comprar en línea, porque me han preguntado a mí, me dicen, yo trato de verlos lo que más se pueda. Hay algunas tiendas en México buenas y confiables, y algunas ventas en Facebook y todo eso, pero al final de cuentas cada quien toma la decisión de dónde gastar su dinero. Pero algo importante, Mike, a pesar de decir no es especialista, él dice que la tendencia va hacia allá. Entonces yo creo que ese es un buen llamado a las personas que nos escuchan en medio, que pues señores, hay que movernos, ¿no? Y ni modo, hay que adaptarnos. No nos gusta a todos, pero bueno, hay que comprar en línea.
Bueno, yo ahora le voy a comentar que yo donde compro, que generalmente me combinan con otros productos de otras cosas también que compro, es muy importante que sobrevivan. O sea que a mí me encantaría comprar directamente de SkyTrains. Lo he hecho, pero a veces el servicio por el shipping que yo pago a Australia se me hace muy caro. Entonces, por eso para mí es re importante que sobrevivan estos negocios. Pero también lo voy a enganchar con algo de customer service del servicio que tiene SkyTrains. Entonces, le voy a hacer el comentario y le voy a preguntar sobre el customer service y mi experiencia que yo recibí from SkyTrains. Mike, I was just saying, mentioning, in my case, I live in Australia. Sometimes I buy directly from SkyTrains, but I use more a hobby shop in the US because they combine other stuff and then they put one parcel for me because the shipping is very expensive. Obviously, this is not SkyTrains fault. But to ship from the US to Australia, just one locomotive is around $100. I can't afford every time you have a model, a new parcel. So my
pre-order, I understand that.
70% goes to this hobby shop, like it's an official retailer from SkyTrains. Just like making a loop is 2 months ago I had a problem with an NSK locomotive from SkyTrains. So I contacted customer service, amazing people there. They asked me, obviously, the question is, was a retailer, and they asked me for the invoice, and all good with that. So the problem was the decoder, wasn't the locomotive. So these people, looked for the decoder, and then they couldn't find because, it was very specific. So they decided, I have a problem with one of the couplers. So they sent me the coupler, and then the next month they sent me the decoder because you receive another locomotive, so they could took that decoder and send it to me. So what I want to say is, what an amazing customer service you have, and how good it is to buy a locomotive. You're going to have people behind, they're going to help you when you need. And also funny things, when I send the picture of the locomotive for the coupler, I noticed the weathering is an SP, a Union Pacific, So XSP locomotive, like when you look into the front of the locomotive, looks like a digit in yellow. And I say to the customer service team, this is the right thing, or I'm looking at just a digit print, and they compare that model with a picture you have there, and say, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
So, you go beyond. It's not only just help me to fix my locomotive. Also, if I ask a silly question because it's really like this, and so yes, I would like to share that experience and say yes.
We're very proud of our customer service team. They do an excellent job, and for us, that part of the process is very important. Obviously, we want every model to be delivered to the customer, and it's going to be perfect. Unfortunately, we just don't live in that kind of a world. There's going to be problems, and so if something doesn't go well at the front end, we've got a very strong and competent back end team, support team that is there to make sure that we satisfy whatever the problems are. So that's good to hear, because again, we are very proud of the support team that we have, and that's a key part of our entire team.
Yeah, and linking with that also, when you are very proactive too, because I had a problem with the SD39, the Chilean model, and you notice that at factory, and you sent the parts straight away to the hobby shop, and that was great too. So I really appreciate that.
No, it's our pleasure.
Y todo eso es la clave de las ventas en línea, el servicio que tiene. Martín, palabras más o menos, estaba hablando con Mike de unos programas que él tuvo, y la respuesta, la gran respuesta de la gente de servicio, no nada más es vender una máquina, dar un soporte, sino es ir más allá. Cualquier pregunta que tuviera Martín, lo ayudaban y le enviaron a las piezas que necesitaba. Entonces creo que eso nos habla de una empresa seria, nos habla de seguridad. Mike agradece ese comentario, pero sí es importante mencionar, yo por ahí también publiqué, tuve algún problema con las cebras, con las luces, hablé a servicio, me ayudaron, me enviaron piezas, estuvieron siempre conmigo. Al final arreglé mis luces, no pasó nada, era defecto de fábrica. Todos saben que eso pasa con las cosas nuevas, pero no pasa nada. El punto importante, tienes una empresa detrás de ti, y creo que eso es lo que habla bien de Skeltron y cualquier otra empresa que responda.
Y otra cosa, es un problema en muchas locomotoras, no es que nos pasa siempre. Mike, something like I want to clarify this. Maybe I think been with Skeltron for 5 years already. Maybe I have 2 problems in 5 years, and I bought a few locomotives and 2 scales. So I say it's not we pointing something, like it is very, very unlikely. But yes, when it happens, because it happened with other brands too, the response from your team, and the good thing is, especially people living overseas, they trust us to send us the parts, and they didn't ask anything special. So that's I appreciate it, because shipping locomotive from here to there and back is a lot of money. Yeah. So so I want to clarify that. It's not like
and obviously that's our goal, is we want to have those mistakes be as minimal as possible. But they do have issues happen, and so we are there to support you in that regard. So that's good to hear. Appreciate that.
Yeah. That's good.
Así es. Sí, y eso es muy bueno. Y hay un continuando con tenemos tantos temas, pero bueno, vamos a tratar de hay uno que puse que es que el tren visita y tiene su road trip y va a algunos eventos. Por ahí que había 2 preguntas. Bueno, obviamente la siguiente evento en Estados Unidos creo que es algo del Great Show, no sé qué. Ahorita le preguntamos a Mike, y yo creo que la pregunta que a lo mejor muchos, especialmente mexicanos, estamos esperando es saber si van a venir a Guadalajara. En Guadalajara va a ser la siguiente convención, creo que en agosto. Entonces, a lo mejor, Mike, perhaps you understand the next question.
Yes.
It's about the next show in the States, and the big question for Mexico. Are you coming to Guadalajara?
Absolutely. Sylvia and I will be in Guadalajara. I've already made that commitment. We will be there, and we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Pues,
And Mike, any chance to visit Australia one day? You know, like I say, why are you coming to?
If I can talk Shane into it, I would love to come visit Australia. Well, that airline ticket's a little bit more expensive than going to Mexico, though.
I don't think so. Los Angeles, Sydney is very in promotion at the moment. So have a look. Could be good. Like here, I don't know if you have I guess yes, you have a retailer here in Australia, but they are very popular. And the other thing you are missing, because you have a few locomotives that are already in Australia, just you need to paint it, especially in the mining industry here in Western Australia.
Yeah.
So that will be a very popular model.
We've looked into that, and actually the hypotypical helps us get there. Because some of because I have looked at some of the Australian locomotives, and they are similar. There are some differences, and there are probably differences that we're not going to be able to make a justified spending the extra money. Yeah. But we certainly can give you a hypotypical version, and that is something we've done some investigation. We're not quite ready to go there yet, but I would not be surprised if we don't see some of those in the future.
Well, when you have that model, you travel to Sydney. We get together, and I help you here, and then we present the model.
Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. I will talk to Shane about that. See if he'll let me go.
Very good.
Sí, hay que decirle a Shane. Te digo, dos noticias importantes. La primera es que ya nos confirmó Mike que sí viene a la Ciudad de México, a Guadalajara. Yo espero también darme por ahí una vuelta, porque ahí sí hay que tomar avión, no es como las otras que me voy en carro. Pero bueno, confirmado, Mike viene a Guadalajara. En Guadalajara hay gente muy, muy talentosa, hay un equipo modular, varias cosas, y creo que va a ser una buena experiencia. Está la invitación para Australia, Mike va a platicar con Shane, pero de lo que he platicado con Martín y en otras pláticas, sé que hay gran afluencia de la gente de la NMRA, es un grupo importante, hay muchos trenes en Australia y estás hablando de la parte de mineros, ¿no?
Las mineras tienen locomotoras americanas y generalmente, y eso déjame ahora engancharle porque se nos va el tiempo, ya casi vamos a una hora. Con la escala N, porque si llegan a hacer esos modelos, especialmente en escala N, porque esos trenes son los más largos del mundo, los que corren en Australia, y tienen esos vagoncitos que ya existen, creo que un tren tiene como 400 a 500 vagones. O sea, y hay ciertos modelos acá en Australia en HO, pero no en escala N, entonces sería una gran pegada, porque les encanta modelar a esos, así que, pero déjame engancharle con escala N y... Mike, the other thing I model is N scale, and I can see, especially here in Australia, is growing. I think it's the future. Even we love the detail on HO. I think the future will be N scale.
Okay.
How you seeing that in? Let's say, obviously, we don't know. We don't want to know sales, but you can see that growing too, and
certainly
especially now with the new technology, like again, your turbine, your diesels are amazing. Like I say, I don't have one problem. They don't stop. You can go over crossings, no dramas. Lock sound is doing an excellent decoder. Details, I think, is spot on. Yeah, I know this is going in an evolution, but I'm happy what I have now. How you see the future on scale?
I think I think that N scale is going to continue to grow. Certainly we're seeing more growth in N scale, and so we've got a number of N scale projects lined up that we're working on. Again, nothing we're ready to talk about just yet, but there are several new locomotives that we're working on, and some more N scale rolling stock as well. So definitely, we're in N scale, and we're going to continue to be doing N scale products. So definitely more to come.
Excellent.
Sí, la escala N está creciendo. La gente ya en México le decimos chavorrucos o de cierta edad. Yo, por mi vista, la verdad, me respeto y me quedo fuera de la escala N. Tengo problemas ya con HO, de repente poner algunas regueras. En escala N no me imagino arreglar.
Ponte anteojos.
Sí, no, ya los traigo, imagínate, y luego me pongo triple.
Acá está.
Sí, pero ya. No, bueno, los que me conocen saben que por ahí tengo un pequeño diagrama de escala Z, pero nada más lo puse.
Bueno, entonces, sí. No me estás engañando.
Sí, necesito espacio, dinero y más paciencia para... Pero bueno, tú quieres esperar. No, la verdad, qué bueno, eso me da mucho gusto. La gente que puede revisar la página de Scale Trends, pues adelante. Me estoy riendo aquí de un ser querido que me pone anteojos relojeros. Exacto.
Sí.
Y ya los tengo. Un saludo a Tania y a todas las niñas les mando un beso. Ella sabe quiénes son y a Ricky también por allá anda. Pero de repente ya se me complica. Pero bueno, olvidándonos de las complicaciones de la vista, creo que es algo bueno tener escala N y tener la variedad. La verdad, como dice Martín, tenemos poco tiempo. Voy a dejar por aquí la página ScaleTrend por aquello que los que no la conozcan, pero con todas las compras nuevas, la marca, ya no hablamos de Fox Valley, ya no hablamos de Exact Rail, lo que viene de vapor sí hablamos de los shows, pero yo creo que sería bueno decirle a Mike, dejarle sus palabras, él encargado de la producción, encargado de todo esto, que nos diga qué le gustaría decir, alguna noticia, alguna primicia de qué está planeando, ¿verdad?
Un titular, como decimos en Argentina.
Así es.
Mike, just to start wrapping up, because obviously, again, 1 hour, you're very generous. This is the section where we say, but we have another section, like I said, the two finalists asking the personal, not personal questions, but first about your, let's say, you need to choose a locomotive, railway, your favorite era. So three easy questions. So what is your favorite locomotive? If you want to choose, you need to choose one. What era and what railway?
If I have to choose one, it's going to be the ES44. That's been a gigantic project. We've got a lot more coming, and that's one I've been very closely involved with, and I'm really in ES44s and all the variants. Favorite railroad? Probably these days, Ferromex, and in particular for the zebras. Absolutely think that is one of the nicest paint schemes I've ever seen on a locomotive.
Wow.
So, and what was the third question?
Era. If you choose an era, especially.
Era. When I was much more active as a hobbyist, and I'm not as much as I used to be because I work in the industry now. It was probably the 80s and 90s, but quite frankly now it's today. I like going out and I like what I see happening today. So for me, we always talk about this. I talk about this with everybody. One of my favorite parts of the job is to be out standing trackside taking pictures. Taking photographs, documenting, equipment so that we have information and stuff for us for our team to be able to develop new products. That research and getting out and photographing trains is probably one of my most favorite parts of what I do.
Okay,
excelente. Sí, y voy a empezar con el último. Él cuando empezó antes de trabajar, 80s, 90s, pero ahora que está trabajando en la industria, le gusta lo que ve, le gusta modelar y bueno, para todos los mexicanos, un agradecimiento, le gustan las famosas cebras.
Tuviste suerte, la primera vez que tenemos a alguien que
la verdad,
está México, viva México.
Pero algo que va muy de la mano a lo que es el negocio y lo que mucha gente luego a veces no entendemos, uno modela lo que ve. Y ahorita estamos viendo cebra, estamos viendo alguna rana, estamos viendo Union Pacific. Entonces, desde el punto de negocios, es lo que hay que vender. Veo algunos comentarios y sé de algunas otras personas que, oye, yo quiero una máquina de los 80, yo quiero una de los 50. Sí, pero no se vende tanto, no se modela tanto. Entonces, pues al final son decisiones de negocio y eso yo lo saco, ¿no? Pero ahorita Mike lo expresó bien, pues a él me gusta lo que estoy viendo. Por eso me gusta lo que veo y compro lo que veo. Entonces, es una decisión importante. Y su máquina favorita, la ES44.
Sí.
La segunda, ¿cuál era? El esquema, bueno, ya dijo.
El esquema ya estaba y la era. Y que le encanta sacar fotos y disfruta de eso.
Sí,
pero también mi pregunta fue muy tonta. Tonta porque mira el sombrerito que tiene un hat. My question was very serious with that hat,
sí.
It was your favorite railway, like I say.
I have, yes, like I said, I have a lot of passion for Mexican railroading.
Y acabo de poner un comentario que fue controversial entre todos los ferromodelistas y los ferroaficionados. La Florida Coast Company, el dueño es Grupo México, que son los dueños de Ferromex y Ferrosur. Sacaron un esquema, creo que aquí le pusieron, me van a matar, motita o hierbabuena, quién sabe, pero es un color verde con negro, muy parecido al de las cebras. Mike, have you seen that scheme with the Floridas?
Yes, The Florida East Coast version of the zebra. Yeah, I have.
Very controversial because they say, oh, it's like a zebra, but in black and green, and everybody talk about that.
It looks nice. I don't like it as much as I do the Ferromex zebras.
Yeah,
it is a neat scheme. I like it, and certainly it's something that's on our list of things to do. So we will. That'll happen eventually. But it's a nice. I like the scheme. But I do prefer the red and the gray on the Ferromex zebras better. I like the brighter colors.
Sí, are the same. It's the same owner, Grupo México, but different schemes. Pero bueno, es parte de lo que vemos, ¿no? Entonces ahorita que decía que
aún y bueno, es cambiar, salir de lo normal y tratar de innovar. A veces pega, a veces no.
Well, it's a nice scheme. It's I think it'll be very popular.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's nice to see something new. Something new is always good.
Exactly.
We have that. CSX is painting all of these heritage units that they're working on. For the ES44s, those are going to be very popular as well. So there's a lot of new paint schemes and stuff coming that's going to be very exciting.
You know what? One, Mike, is just I know it's impossible because I don't think even you do the locomotive, but one day somebody can do the scheme from Union Pacific. From I know there is brand issues also, but the Olympics, the Winter Olympics, Salt Lake City locomotive from UP. That was a beautiful scheme. Like I said, really like I think it's a right problems at the moment, so nobody can do that. But
licensing is always a challenge as well. Yeah, licensing is a challenge as well, and that always becomes a problem when you've got that stuff. Not to say that we're not going to try, but some of that stuff can be more challenging than others, unfortunately.
But that was I think that was my favorite, and the other one I like a lot is the Bush, the
the
41,
that's
y ese tema para una nueva plática. That's a perfect topic for a new interview. License when you are making your brand, because I'm sure that it's going to be a lot of talking about that, the license, about the colors, about many things.
It varies. I mean, some companies are very easy to work with, others are not, and it depends on the attitude of the company. And a lot of the companies, a lot of these larger companies seem to think there's a lot of money to be made doing licensing, and at least not in our industry. There's not. We just don't. We don't sell enough. We don't sell enough volume to really make it.
And I think you're doing a free promotion too, because
they should pay you. They should pay you.
And there is two sides to that. The other part of that is that when I can understand this, certainly we want we protect our brand, we protect our logos, and we want to make sure that any product that has our name on it properly represents us. And so if there's a company that makes something that is of a lesser quality, maybe a manufacturer doesn't want to have their name attached to it because they don't want their name attached to something like that. So I mean, I can see both sides, but it does make it a challenge, and it's that's something that it takes a lot of work to be able to make those connections, to make that kind of stuff happen. So we have good luck with most of the railroads. We've got good working relationships with them. Outside of the railroad community, it can be those companies are pretty big, and there's a lot of red tape to go through at times to get there.
¿Te gustaría que Mike cerrara algunas palabras?
Sí, cerramos porque ya nos fuimos. Te das cuenta que vamos abriendo ventanas y seguimos extendiendo. Es tan apasionante el Hobbit, la verdad que date cuenta que va.
Y luego tengo un tema, tengo un tema para verano. No sé por qué otro día estamos platicando de clases de verano para niños. Y yo le decía, es que los trenes no nada más el tren, es madera, es armar el layout, es eléctrico, o sea, muchas cosas que los niños no hay quien se les enseñe, o sea, simplemente, oye, el rojo y el negro no los juntes porque hace corto. Pero ahorita aquí nada más hablamos de trenes, hay que hablar luego otra vez de algunas cosas.
Vamos a hacer una cosa. Mike, now we get into the final, because we continue open windows, we continue talking forever. Like I said, this is we are very passionate about it. And as I said, having an expert like you is a great opportunity. So just it's not a question, just we want to give you some time if you want to talk about anything you want to really pass to the people watching the show, or any news you want to announce here, something special. But feel free to yeah, whatever you want to say.
No particular new news, but I do encourage everyone. Looking forward to see everybody in Guadalajara. My wife and I have had a great time every time we've been down there. I don't have enough good things to say about everybody. Everybody has been very friendly, muy amable, los personas, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be able to represent the company in Mexico, and looking forward to being able to get to spend more time down there. So
in Tequila Train, we're gonna see you in the Tequila Train. That's true. We have a tequila train in Guadalajara.
I know about the tequila train. I'm not someone who drinks, so you're not going to see me drinking on the tequila train.
But you will enjoy all the people.
But I would certainly enjoy doing something like that. So absolutely, we could look into doing something like that. But again, just really appreciate the passion and the support from our Spanish-speaking customers. It's been, like I said, it's been a real privilege to be able to represent the company down in Mexico, and just really enjoy the camaraderie, and the support from everyone down there, and just really appreciate that.
And we can say you will be here in Sydney in 2025, don't you? Yeah, is that correct? We will talk with Shane. We will start sending emails.
Okay, if we can talk Shane into it, I would love to. So,
because it's unfair. It's everything for Mexico, Mexican locomotive, Mexican business, Mexican tours, but nothing for Australia.
In the next visit to China, to the factory, just take another plane to Sydney.
It's only 8 hours.
Yeah, I'm close. Yeah, I would certainly be closer from there, so that may be an option.
Exactly. Why not? Very good, amazing.
Estimados, pues es un placer como siempre compartir con gente que le apasiona el hobby, el tren. Hace rato platicaba con Martín de que es viernes, estamos cansados, muchas cosas en el trabajo, la vida, enfermedades, de todo, dinero. Por breves momentos mi mente se limpia, me tranquilizo, disfruto estar con ustedes que nos escuchan, con gente como Mike, con gente tan apasionada, con gente que sabe tanto como Martín. Y pues agradecemos a todos. Mike lo que nos dice que pues, prácticamente nada nuevo, simplemente que nos espera ver a mucha gente en Guadalajara. Platicamos un poco del tren de tequila que tenemos allá, que él no toma, es muy importante, pero que va a disfrutar.
Como yo,
y agradeció a muchas personas, no quiero decir un solo nombre, porque hay muchos que se me van a olvidar, pero especialmente todo el equipo de Monterrey, todo el equipo de Guadalajara y algunos otros de la Ciudad de México, que han estado con Mike, que han estado con su esposa, con Silvia, con todos. Y pues bueno, esperemos vernos en agosto allá en la convención. Y obviamente por ahí ya le dijimos que la próxima vez que se vaya a China a ver la fábrica, que se pase a Sydney, que ya está más cerca para que vea Martín.
Exacto. Si no, todo, mira, esposa mexicana, trenes mexicanos, visitas a México, todo México.
No, California es de México, ¿verdad? Que no sabe.
Y sí, bueno, también, y vive en México.
Sí. Es la extensión de México, California. Pero bueno. Pues un saludo a todos, buenos días Martín, buenas noches donde sean noches y acá, un abrazo. Mike, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Un abrazo, Shane. Un abrazo a Shane, regards to Shane and all the team. Thank you for being Scale Train.
And now, that Mike, will happen every year. So now, we will have another Scale Train in 2025. So you are already in, okay? So you are trapped now, okay? You can
okay. It's my pleasure, gentlemen. Mucho gusto por todo.
Gracias.
Okay.
Un abrazo a todos.